Hey friends, Pastor Kim here. 66 books in 66 days, and today we are in the letter that Paul writes to Titus. This follows in our Bible, 1st and 2nd Timothy, very personal letters of instruction to Timothy, and now we have something very similar, but a letter that is written to Titus, who was sent to the island of Crete for the very important responsibility of raising up leaders and elders at the church. And the key verse that comes out of this short letter is chapter 1, verse 5. The reason I left you in Crete was that you might straighten out what was left unfinished and appoint elders in every town as I directed you. And so this instructional letter guides Titus. Titus is a Greek believer. He was taught and nurtured by Paul, and he stood before the leaders of the church in Jerusalem as a living example of what Christ was doing among the Gentiles. You can reference that when you read Galatians chapter 2, beginning in verses 1 through 3. Similar, like I said, to Timothy, Titus was one of Paul's trusted traveling companions and closest friends, and later he became Paul's special ambassador, 2 Corinthians 7, verses 5 through 16, and eventually the overseer of the churches in Crete. I guess he became, in the United Methodist Church understanding, he became like a district superintendent. Slowly and carefully, Paul developed Titus into a mature Christian and a responsible leader. The letter to Titus is a step in the discipleship process. As with Timothy, Paul told Titus how to organize and lead the churches. And so the book, the letter of Titus, is broken out into three main parts. Chapter 1 is leadership in the church. Chapter 2 is right living in the church, and chapter 3 is right living in society. We learn everything that we need to learn about living as a good citizen, a model citizen, and a faithful believer through Scripture and being in the fellowship of the body of believers in the church. That should teach us how to live in society. And so the themes that rise up are about a good life, building good character, about the responsibilities of being a church leader and teaching in the church, and citizenship. Christians must be good citizens in society, not just in the church. Believers must obey the government and work in honesty and integrity and all of that flows. And so this is really about Titus going to Crete on an island. Sometimes I wish that I would be appointed to an island somewhere, right? I'm not so sure that is the place would be Crete, because Crete had a lot of problems. Crete had a lot of sin nature flowing through it and wild living. So Crete would not be one of the places that I really would want to be appointed. John and I have always talked about the possibility of being appointed somewhere in the Virgin Islands. Hint, hint, wink to my DS. I'll stay here in Maryville as long as you have me, but if an appointment comes up in Christiansted, I'm signing up. I'm heading there. But Titus had this task on Crete to raise up the church, and Crete is a small island in the Mediterranean Sea, and it had a large population of Jews. The churches there were founded by Cretan Jews who had been in Jerusalem at Pentecost more than 30 years before Paul wrote this letter. The unfinished work refers to establishing correct teaching and appointing elders in every town. Paul had appointed elders in various churches during his journeys. You can read about that in Acts chapter 14, verse 23. He could not stay in each church, but he knew that these new churches needed strong spiritual leaders, and that's when he began choosing men that he raised up in the apostolic understanding, Timothy and Titus. And these men were chosen to lead the churches by teaching sound doctrine helping believers mature spiritually and equipping them to live for Jesus Christ despite opposition and despite persecution. And so that's really what the letter that Paul writes to Titus is all about. And chapter 3 is right living in society, doing what is good, obedience, consideration, peaceability, humility, gentleness. This is what comes out of chapter 3. In verse 1 it says, remind the people to be subject to rulers and authorities, to be obedient, and to be ready to do whatever is good, to slander no one, to be peaceable and considerate, and to show true humility toward all men. This is how we raise up leaders in the church with integrity. And so I hope that you enjoy reading this very short letter and attach to yourself what it means for you to grow and mature as a Christian and to grow as a leader in your church. Take care, friends. Enjoy reading. I'll see you soon. Bye for now.